So as promised, part 2 of my series for kids ages 12 to 17, trying to cope with parent infidelity. This video is about figuring out, should you confront your parents or not? Hi everyone, my name is Melissa. I'm a writer. I research and write extensively on the effects of parent infidelity in the kids. If you would like to support kids coping with parent infidelity, please hit like to this video, subscribe to this channel so that we can help more people understand the cycle of infidelity in families. I'm also hoping to create some kind of support group for kids dealing with parent infidelity, and I would love your input as to what would be helpful for you. Please drop me a comment below, or if you'd like to connect individually, I will leave my email down below, and you can either write me directly or I'd be happy to set up a time to talk with you. Thank you. And as I mentioned in a previous video, which I'll link up here, this is a very hot button issue for some people, and there's no one right answer. So I'm going to give you 5 things to think about before you confront your parents. The first is that revealing an affair can have big consequences. And that's because affairs have big consequences. It can have an impact on the individual and the family, from unplanned or unwanted pregnancy to sexually transmitted diseases, to the ending of one relationship, to the beginning of another relationship, to financial strain, to emotional fallout. Those are just some. And you rightfully, as a kid, may feel scared about what will happen if the affair comes to light. Will your family break up? Will your parents or one parent move out? Will someone involved be so angry that they will act in a way that's harmful, either emotionally or physically or financially? These are all really valid concerns, and especially at your age, you have to continue to live in this family. The second thing is that it's likely that you have a lot less information. It's likely that you don't have all the information. It's also likely that you have a lot less control than you think. So as a child, even a big kid, the amount of control that you have over your parents' relationship is quite limited. Your parents are adults, and they have a relationship outside of their children, and you may be certain that one of your parents is having an affair and still not understand all of the facts and all of the implications. I can't tell you the number of kids that I hear from who have heard or who find out that their dad is cheating, and they tell their mom, only to find out that their mom has known all along and has decided, for whatever reason, to live with it. There are just things that as a kid you're not going to know and you're not going to understand. Your parents are really the only ones who have control over their relationship. Number 3, if you are considering confronting your parents, consider talking to them both at the same time. Why? One of the trickiest parts of being a child of infidelity is getting stuck between your parents, the sort of he said, she said, they said scenario. What this means is that one parent, if you tell a parent individually, like one-on-one, it could be that that parent will try to form an alliance with you against the other parent, which is a hard place to be. For example, a cheating dad, if you confront him, may say, well, but you can't tell your mom, think how much it will hurt her. If you confront both parents at once, you get out of the middle. You force them to deal with each other rather than the whole kill the messenger scenario where you're the one having to take responsibility for one or the other one of them finding out. Number 4, super important, grace. You need to give yourself a lot of grace. Whether you decide to confront your parents or if you decide that it's not safe enough to confront your parents, it's okay. Give yourself that pass to wait until either you're older or until something in your family situation changes. It's okay. Staying out of it is okay if you feel unsafe or unsure or even just frightened. None of this is your fault, even if you know about the affair and you don't tell anyone. Okay, number 5, and I think this is the most important one. because this is about the power of secrets. And I actually believe that your decision about whether or not to tell your parents should be more about the secret that you feel like you're having to keep about the affair. So it's no secret that keeping secrets can be stressful. And there's been some interesting recent research done by a professor named Michael Slepian. I'll leave a link for his book below. It's called The Secret Life of Secrets. I recommend it. It's a quick read, very interesting. And as a side note, Slepian did research on the top, I don't remember, 20, 30 categories of secrets that people keep. And the secret that is most often kept is about infidelity. Okay, so the reason that secrets are so stressful to keep is because they literally put two parts of your brain at odds with each other. So specifically, it keeps the cingulate cortex, obviously I'm not a scientist, which I've outlined in red, and the prefrontal cortex, outlined in blue. It puts them at odds because the cingulate cortex, the one in red, is wired to tell the truth and pushes the rest of the brain to share information so that it can move on to more important matters like learning new skills. When you choose not to share a secret, your prefrontal cortex, the bit in blue, as a way to cope, comes up with all of the reasons that sharing this secret would be bad for you. So in this case, it would be things like, mom would hate me, my parents will divorce, all of the terrible outcomes that you can think of. So essentially your brain is at war with itself, and the result is this feeling of emotional burden. And this is, of course, in addition to the vigilance that you might feel at the need to keep the secret, to make sure that you evade or avoid certain people or conversations so that the topic doesn't come up. Keeping secrets is connected to all kinds of mental health issues that you're probably trying to avoid, like depression, anxiety, and even the increased progression of disease. In addition, the more that your secret, the secret of your parents' infidelity, overlaps with the rest of your community, your different social networks, the more stressful it's going to be to keep. And finally, and perhaps the most prominently for kids of infidelity, is that keeping secrets exacerbates your sense of loneliness, which, as I've mentioned in the previous video, is something kids of infidelity already feel, ironically, because so many kids go through this. But there is good news. According to Slepian, the most exhausting part of keeping a secret is not actually the fear that somebody will find out the truth. That's part of it, but that's not the biggest part. The biggest part is the time that you spend in your head thinking about the secret and ruminating on the secret. So what's a child of infidelity to do? Because you may have very good reasons for holding on to your secret, but you don't want the burden of holding on to the secret, and maybe you don't feel like you can confront your parents. So as you consider whether or not to confront your parents, check out my previous video that I'll link up above as to how to cope with rumination, how to cope with those intrusive thoughts going through your head. Because it may be that if you can cope with the thoughts, that the issue of whether or not to confront does not become quite so important. Thank you so much for watching this video. As I said, if you like this content, please like it and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what other kinds of content I can create for you guys. Thank you.